Okay, so I'll hand it over to our very own James Michael. He is coming all the way from Kerala. Right now he's researching in Mumbai and he has got some special insights and he has got his own way of writing. So James, handing it over to you.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you all for inviting us here, excellent organizers, Rahul and Gaurav and other people. I haven't written on a paper or anything, so I'll be talking like what Anup did. So it'll be half-hearted, but I'll try to keep it short. I'll just reflect on the Gandhi, about the introduction of Roy. Why Gandhi and Ambedkar, and I'll try to cast some sideways glance and try to problematize it. The criticism of Gandhi is very old, at least 100 years old. So I was just looking at some of the early criticism of Gandhi. You have one of the founders of the Communist Party of India, S.A. Dange, has actually written a pamphlet called Gandhi versus Lenin, where he kind of charts out the merits and demerits of both the people, and then in the end, which he decides that Lenin is better than Gandhi. In 1921, way back in 1921. And then we have several other people who criticizes Gandhi from the Communist parties. We have Ambedkar demolishing Gandhi in the wake of Pune Pact, writing an entire piece analyzing Pune Pact. Then we have what Gandhi and Congress did, the untouchables, etc., etc. So, having gone through that entire history of Gandhi demolishment, and when we come to at least Roy's introduction, it's just a repackaging of the material which is available over the past 100 years or so. And then the civil society is appalled and shocked that somebody suddenly discovered that Gandhi is a problematic person. And we were appalled by the fact that the civil society is appalled by this new discovery. So so that is one modus operandi of Navayana. They actually repackage already available material and then publish it as if it's own discovery of an upper caste person. We have a couple of examples. For example, D.N. Jha's book on what is it? Beef eating practices in ancient India. Myth of the holy cow. We have heard about it. And in Vedic times, Brahmins used to eat beef, etc., etc. So, as if he discovered it, and Navayana publishes a book, and Ambedkar has actually written a tract about the myth of the holy cow way back. And D.N. Jha writes a whole book without citing Ambedkar, okay, and without not even in the index or not even in the citations or anywhere. And Ambedkar is repackaged as additional material in the appendix, and Navayana publishes it. There are other examples. So, Dilip Menon's book on caste and communalism. Again, Dilip Menon makes his discovery that communalism is an effect of caste relations. Communalism is deployed as a political tool to cover up the fact that there are caste inequalities. And this has been theorized by Ambedkar in Annihilation of Caste itself. I mean, because Ambedkar talks about the Hindu majoritarian ideology which is being created against by demonizing Muslims and Islam. Ambedkar writes about it in AOC. And Dilip Menon writes a whole book about communalism and caste as if he discovered it for the first time, without referring again. Navayana brings out the book without referring Ambedkar or citing him anywhere. So this has been, Roy sudden Gandhi criticism is also a new discovery, which is actually nothing but a repackaging of criticisms done by Bhavan people over the past 70, 80 years. So let me come back to the question of Gandhi and Ambedkar. Even I am guilty of such a comparison. In 2004-06, I did an MPhil. Before the second Mandal happened, and I happened to be one of the very few OBCs who got into this institute called Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, and I was doing my research and culture studies on rural democracy. So I had to do these readings on political philosophy, etc., etc. So classical philosophy, I read Rousseau, Locke, Tocqueville, and all of that. But in the Indian debate, I had to read Ambedkar and Gandhi. So obviously, I had to come to Ambedkar via Gandhi. They asked me to read. Gandhi has written only 2 books in his entire life. One is called My Experiments with Truth, and the other is Hind Swaraj. In Hind Swaraj,
he wrote a book on the experience as a lawyer.
Okay. So yeah, right. So he talks against lawyers. Why lawyers shouldn't be there in India, doctors shouldn't be there in India, railways shouldn't be there in etc. It's a mad book. So I had to read that book, and then I read Ambedkar on Pune Pact. So what I'm trying to say is that in that structural institutional research environment, my entry to Ambedkar was mediated via Gandhi. So so I did this MPhil where I located both these figures as kind of political antagonists. So there is in Western political theory, there is this concept called agonism, where two political adversaries meet together and they change each other, and then it becomes a moment of democratic moment. I mean, it could be a bad democratic moment, good. So there is no value judgment, but because they change each other, it's considered as a instance of plural democracy. So I did that, and I was in the utter foolish belief that I am a Christian and therefore a minority. So Ambedkar never talks about minorities, and Gandhi talks only about minorities all the time. So I thought, okay, I need to kind of locate Gandhi and Ambedkar together to understand my lower class position as well as the question of minority. So okay, issue is solved, I thought. But later, when I got out of the institution and then I started reading Ambedkar more, I realized that Gandhi was wrong. I mean, Gandhi wanted to locate me as a minority, but actually I was a majority, in the sense that, from Gujarat coast to the coast of West Bengal, there's a long, I come from a Christian minority community which is predominantly populated by fishing communities. Okay, so from the Gujarat coast to the Bay of Bengal coast, there's one of the longest coastal lines in India. How the hell can I belong to a minority community? That is when I realized that I belong to the Bahujan community, which is the community of the lower caste and which is the majority thing. And that minority, the illusion of minority was kind of injected to me due to the reading of Gandhi and Ambedkar. I took critical stand against Ambedkar because of this Gandhian mediation of Ambedkar. That is one instance. There are several instances of such literature available in India. For example, another OBC person, I don't know whether you've heard of him, D.R. Nagaraj. He has written a book called The Flaming Feet, where he writes this very popular essay called Self-Purification versus Self-Respect, where he kind of understands Ambedkar and Gandhi as complementary to each other. Right? So Gandhi kind of tempers Ambedkar's least modernist excesses, and Ambedkar kind of instills some radicalism in Gandhi, etc. That's a reading. But when I look at the history of Karnataka, Karnataka, the entry of Ambedkar, Karnataka is the only state in South India where Ambedkar's entry was much delayed. The Ambedkarite kind of politics came to Karnataka very, very late. So when you look at the politics, the caste politics in Karnataka is low-hate, it has been historically low-hate in nature. So if you look at the URS government during the 70s, they initiated all these land reforms and all of that thanks to the strong low-hate movement there. Even the Dalit Sandarshan Samiti, which was formed in the wake of that, is also in a sense low-hate in nature. So you have Siddhalingaya coming out and saying that the antipathy of Dalits towards Gandhi in Karnataka was actually diluted or watered down because of the low-hate influence. So DSS is actually a hodgepodge of several type of Dalit intellectuals there are Dalit Gandhians who kind of criticize Ambedkar completely. There are Ambedkarite Dalits, there are the Dalit Panther type of Ambedkarites, there are the communist Ambedkar. So it's kind of, and U.R. Nandamurthy, the writer, he is also low-hate. So he also talks about the complementarity of Gandhi, Ambedkar, etc. The thing is that low-hate is a Gandhian, right? So Lohia was beholden to Gandhi right from his childhood, and even he wrote a PhD dissertation on Gandhi. The net effect being that till the 80s and 90s, Ambedkar's virtual entry into Karnataka was mediated via Gandhi, and as an effect, kind of invisibilized. Even now, so if I stretch my imagination a little, I'm leaping my imagination, and if Karnataka happens to be the first and the foremost hub of BJP in South India, it is thanks to this neutering of caste politics via low-hate politics. So I'm talking about the invisibilization of Ambedkar via Gandhi's mediation. If you look at another theorist called Partha Chatterjee, he has written a book called Nationalism and Colonialism, a derivative discourse or something, where he studies nationalism through three luminaries. One is Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, one is Gandhi, and then there is Jawaharlal Nehru. So Bankim Chandra Chatterjee is seen as borrowing these Gramscian concepts. Bankim is seen as doing a moment of departure, and Gandhi is seen as a moment of maneuver, and Nehru is seen as a moment of arrival. So Bankim had a love-hate relationship with colonialism, like all upper caste people. So they borrow whole-scale benefits, whole-scale from colonialism, gets education, gets transfer of power, etc., etc. But at the same time, they'll denigrate Valentine's Day. They'll say this is bad, that is bad. So there's a love-hate relationship. Bankim was like that. That is called the moment of departure. And then Gandhi is seen as a politician, maneuvering the masses, and he floats this concept called non-violence to extraordinary through the conquest machinery, through which any insurrection of the lower caste were blocked. Talk about non-violence, do not upset the upper caste, wait for them to change their heart, etc., etc. So Gandhi kind of ingeniously bridged the upper caste, lower caste divide by the deployment of this idea. And then Nehru comes, and Nehru borrows the Soviet model and introduces the planning, 5-year planning, etc., etc. The thing is that Ambedkar or Phule, etc., are absent in this narrative of nationalism. And then Partha Chatterjee comes across as a merchant of doom, where he talks about how nationalism comes across and then everything goes haywire, and then Gandhi creates crisis, etc., etc. Let's supplant these figures with somebody like Phule instead of Bankim. And Phule's relationship with colonialism is completely different from Bankim's relationship with colonialism. And Phule is from the Scottish Mission School, and he reads Thomas Paine, Rights of Man, etc., etc. And then he borrows a concept of universal equality and liberty, etc., etc., from colonialism, which is completely different from the upper caste engagement with what should I say, the colonial machinery. Same is the case with, let's supplant Gandhi with Ambedkar. And Ambedkar, as Anup mentioned, has been called as a stooge of imperialism, etc. So his relationship with colonialism is again completely different. He bourgeois liberal, etc. So his relationship with colonialism is that he borrows all these the ideas of constitution. He goes and does a PhD there, and unlike Gandhi, who kind of denigrates the railways, doctors, lawyers, etc., Ambedkar himself becomes a lawyer, right? And
Gandhi was himself.
yeah, Gandhi was also a lawyer. Yeah. So, and instead of Nehru, we don't have a figure to supplant. But if you look at later, Mayavadi comes to the picture, and in one of the interviews, one of our Dalit intellectuals talks about the impact of AOC in Kanchiram. So it said that Kanchiram couldn't sleep because after reading AOC, and it was from the sleeplessness that the great Bahujan Samajwadi Party came into being. And if we dislocate that narrative of nationalism, and we reintroduce our figures and look at our national history, what we understand is a narrative of progress. I mean, if you look at our situation now, vis-a-vis our situation 50 years back, we did not have a narrative of doom. We have a narrative of progress. Things have improved for us. And I think Arundhati Roy in her introduction is doing two things historically which upper castes have been doing. One is to mediate. So when the caravan essay came, excerpt of thing came in the caravan, I did a Control F, and I found that there are 150 or odd references to Gandhi as against 5 references, 6 references to Ambedkar in her introduction. And this book, and this AOC is not about Gandhi at all. He doesn't refer to Gandhi, and this woman writes an introduction which needs, an upper caste needs to necessarily understand Ambedkar through Gandhi. And as I've said, this understanding has historically resulted in political situations where the right wing has captured power. A, B, Ambedkar has been completely obliterated. And in my case, I was deemed as a minority. And this is what happens. The lower caste are split into the ideas of the minority, and the majority is deployed again as a communal strategy by the upper caste. And I think Arvind Roy's introduction historically replicates this thing on the one hand, and on it politically, it again, as Navayana publishing has been done, it repackages additional material as material produced by lower caste. It tempers it, it perverts it, it changes its nature, and then usurpation happens. Then this usurpation has been happening for material produced by lower caste. It tempers it, it perverts it, it changes its nature, and then usurpation happens. Then this usurpation has been happening for hundreds of years. I mean, the labor, the intellectual labor of the lower caste have been usurped through mechanisms like this over the past 100 years, and we see Navayana as again secularized, progressively packaged publishing concern, which kind of does the same thing again and again. And I think with this, this is my observation, and I think I'll keep it short and give it to good question. Thank you very much.